Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us. I would like to thank Shimadzu Philippines for having me today. My talk is entitled Do Wonders with Shimadzu GCMS, Its Principle and Applications. I hope that the sharing today will help you in your analytical journey. The agenda for today will cover a brief introduction of GCMS technology. I will touch on 5 main applications for GCMS. They are divided into 2 types of workflow. One is a routine workflow and the other is a discovery workflow. Now, let's do a very quick recall on the principle of GCMS. GCMS consists of 2 portions. The first portion is the GC, which stands for gas chromatograph. Gas chromatograph helps to separate mixture of compounds into individual components. The separation is only made possible by the presence of a GC column. Both liquid and gas or headspace sample can be introduced into the GC injector. As the temperature of the injector is very high, all compounds will volatilize into gas phase and move down the column. The compounds that interact more with the column will elute later than compounds that do not. When the compounds reach a detector, a signal is recorded. Let's have a look at how this mixture of compounds is separated by a gas chromatograph. There you go. We have now successfully separated and detect 3 compounds in a mixture. In GCMS, the detector is a mass spectrometer. A mass spectrometer consists of 3 main segments. The first is an ion source, which converts compound in gas phase into ions. The ions then travel down a mass analyzer that helps to filter off unwanted ions. Ions that pass through the mass analyzer will then be detected by a detector. In most GCMS, the mass analyzer is a quadrupole, while the detector is an electron multiplier. The ion source is a very important part of the spectrometer, because only ionized compounds can be successfully detected. To create ions, a stream of electrons is provided to collide with the compounds. In most cases, the entire molecule will be ionized to form a molecular ion. However, since a very high electron emission current of 70 electron volt is used, the ionized molecules are usually fragmented into smaller pieces, called the fragment ions. As all ions ultimately reach the detector, it forms a mass spectrum that consists of fragment ions and molecular ions. This is the mass fingerprint of a compound, and it differs from one compound to another. As such, this mass spectrum can be used for compound identification. Despite the simplicity, GCMS has become a commodity in chemical analysis for the past 40 years or more. GCMS usefulness grew over the years when more analysis modes are available. What we have discussed in the previous slide is the detection of all ions that pass through the quadrupole. And we call this the scan analysis because it scans for every single ion. We can modify the voltage of the quadrupole to filter off unwanted ions that we do not need. When performed correctly, only the selected ions will pass through the quadrupole and then detected. This is called the Selective Ion Monitoring Mode, or SIM mode. Now it gets more interesting when we are able to attach 2 more quadrupoles to the system. The first quadrupole will filter off unwanted ions and retains only the target ions of interest. The second quadrupole can act as a collision cell, where it further fragments the target ion via collision with argon gas. This produces a new set of fragment ions. The quadrupole 3 can further select a fragment ion and discard unwanted ions. Hence, this improves selectivity and sensitivity. GCMS containing just 1 quadrupole is usually named as a single quadrupole system, while 3 quadrupoles will make a triple quadrupole system. The key idea behind SIM and MRM modes is to filter off unwanted ions, meaning that noise signal can be reduced. This increases the sensitivity and selectivity of target detection. This slide shows the chromatogram produced by SCAN, SIM, and MRM mode. Scan data usually contains a high amount of noise signal. When we selectively monitor ions in SIM mode, we can remove unwanted noise and focus on the ions that we want. With MRM mode, we can further improve the selectivity and sensitivity by targeting a certain transitions. The cleaner chromatogram enables accurate integration and thus a more accurate peak area quantitation. As we have seen, the combination of GC and MS as a hyphenated method can provide us with very valuable chemical information. Volatile and semi-volatile can be analyzed with GCMS to provide both qualitative and quantitative results. Shimadzu has been manufacturing GCMS for more than 50 years, and we are very humbled by the recognition from Frost and Sullivan. Shimadzu Asia Pacific has won this award on mass spectrometry in Asia Pacific, the best company of the year for 3 consecutive years. Shimadzu GCMS has been recognized for its high speed, reduced runtime, and increased throughput. Our workhorse are our single quadrupole QP2010 SE and QP2020 NX, and our triple quadrupole system TQ8040 NX and TQ8050 NX. Moving on, let's have a look at how Shimadzu GCMS can help you in your analytical journey. When you have a set of target compounds to analyze day in, day out, you will need to strategize for a routine workflow. Routine workflow is usually seen in the analysis of pharmaceutical impurities in environmental, food, and water monitoring applications. If we were to take 2 steps back and view our world and environment as a whole, we would realize that everything is interconnected. This means that our health condition is connected to the condition of our surroundings. In 2005, the exposome concept was defined to include general and specific exposures to chemicals from the environment and their effect on our health. General external environment exposure can may include climate, urbanization, green space, and social environment. Specific external environment exposure include the intake of food, medicine, consumer products, and physical exercise. Exposome science usually investigate the long-term effect of this exposure on human health. It is a very complicated area of science, and it usually requires the implementation of artificial intelligence to elucidate the cause and effects of all this exposure to human health. The exposure threats from our surrounding can definitely send shivers down our spine. In fact, everything we have in our home can expose us to potentially high levels of chemicals. For example, persistent organic pollutants such as flame retardant, bisphenol A, phthalates, perfluorinated chemicals can be found in many consumer items, including television, vacuum cleaner, radio, non-stick pan, shoes, and even bed sheets. Sometimes, the medicine that we consume may contain impurities that can cause cancer. Even in food and water, residual pesticides and volatile organic compounds can cause us to be unwell. Lucky for us, regulations are in place and respective national agencies are constantly monitoring the levels of these chemicals to protect us from overexposure. Routine analysis will benefit from Shimadzu's UFMS technologies, which stands for ultra-fast mass spectrometry. The UFMS technologies in Shimadzu GCMS include the presence of an UF sweeper collision cell, ASSP firmware protocol, and UF transmission high sensitivity detector. Together, this delivers ultra-fast analysis in scanning mode, MRM mode, and as well as provide high sensitivity analysis. The UF sweeper collision cell accelerates ions at very high energy to ensure that no signal loss or crosstalk happens in the analysis. It easily enables the analysis of 600 MRM transitions within a second without losing sensitivity. With the ASSP firmware protocol, scan speed of up to 20,000 Dalton per second can be achieved with Shimadzu GCMS. With conventional technology, the sensitivity decreased drastically at high scan speed. As you can see in this plot, the blue plot at very high scan speed show a reduced intensity or sensitivity compared to the data collected at low scan speed. Shimadzu ASSPT technology ensures no drop in sensitivity even at very high scan speed. The combination of the UFMS technology even enables the collection of scan and MRM data in a single run. For example, a program of 50 milliseconds in scan analysis and 100 milliseconds of MRM analysis can be carried out consecutively. That means, in a single run, you alternate between scan and MRM, scan, MRM, and scan, MRM. And this repeats throughout the analysis. And this is only made possible because Shimadzu GCMS has very high scan speed and has UFMS technology. The scan data will consist of mass spectral information for both qualitative and quantitative analysis. For quantitative analysis, Shimadzu Labsolutions Insight software provides an intuitive environment for multi-component data analysis. All sample and compound information can be viewed at a glance. Chromatogram and integration can be viewed or modified directly. The calibration curve and residual plot can also be viewed directly. A flagging system can be customized to users' preference. Compounds out of limit can be colored or highlighted so that users will take note to double-check on these entries. The flagging color is also universal across the software and thus enables consistent and direct review of results from all panels. More importantly, Shimadzu GCMS is compliant with regulatory requirements. Rest assured that we have all the necessary hardware, software, and accessories to help you set up a routine analysis in no time. If you are in the area of pharmaceutical, you will have known that in 2018, the European Medicines Agency recalled a generic drug used for hypertension treatment called Valsartan. At that time, Valsartan manufactured by Zhejiang Huahai Company were found to contain nitrosodimethylamine, NDMA, an impurity compound that can potentially cause genotoxicity. Shortly after, FDA issued a recall for the drug as well. After more than 2 years since the initial report, various sartan drugs such as losartan and irbesartan are strictly monitored. Despite the ban on nitrosamine, nitrosamine is not directly carcinogenic. It is only when it is ingested, metabolic reaction will convert nitrosamine such as NDMA into alkylating agent. This alkylating agent is a genotoxic agent as it can modify our DNA bases. At current stage, there is no official method for the analysis of nitrosamines in drug products. FDA has, however, provided several options for nitrosamine detection. Other variants of nitrosamine, including NDMA, NDEA, NDIPA, and etc., were included in the proposed methods. Amongst these, liquid injection and heat-space methods on GCMS can be used. Shimadzu GCMS can perfectly cater to both types of analysis. We have liquid injection and heat-space system in one entire system. And we have solutions to cater to this analysis of nitrosamine. For heat-space analysis of NDMA and NDEA, the QP2020 NX coupled to our heat-space HS20 system is a perfect combination to meet FDA's requirement. For calibration curve of standard within the range of 2.5 ppb to 10 ppb, this system can achieve excellent linearity of 0.999. The overlaid scene chromatograms of various concentrations showed good sensitivity for NDMA and NDEA. Excellent repeatability is also observed for the analysis, with RSD less than 10% over 6 injections. Subsequently, recovery test was also performed for 3 APIs, mainly valsartan, losartan, and omelsartan. The sartan drugs were dissolved in DMSO at a concentration of 5% weight over volume, to which the standard solutions were added at 2.5, 5, and 10 parts per billion. The recovery rates for all analyses were well within 80% to 120%. For the liquid direct injection, Shimadzu has developed a method according to FDA's requirement. While the FDA requirement required only 3 types of nitrosamines, mainly NDMA, NDEA, and NDBA, we nevertheless demonstrated the capability of the system to detect various other nitrosamines. For this, a triple quadrupole TQ8050NX was used with an MRM analysis. This table summarizes the result of the analysis. Calibration curve within the range of 2.5 to 100 ppb showed a very good linearity of more than 0.999. This was above the 0.998 requirement of FDA. The RSD from 6 injections were less than 10%. As per FDA requirement, the signal-to-noise ratio at 5 ppb were also more than 10. And if you are in the area of food safety, Shimadzu has your back as well. You would be happy to hear that Shimadzu recognizes the fact that residual pesticide and food safety is a long-standing issue. Hence, we continue to keep ourselves updated with the global development on residual pesticide analysis. We provide up-to-date solutions to cater to all your analysis. If you are new to residual pesticide analysis, we have a method package called Smart Pesticide Database to kickstart your analysis. The Smart Database is a kind of product unique to Shimadzu. In a Smart Database, retention indexes as well as MRM and SIM transitions for 530 pesticides are provided. Together with a method optimization function, including Smart MRM and AART function, you can get your analysis going immediately. Smart Database provides you with all the methods and chemical information required to perform simultaneous analysis of more than 400 pesticides, as seen in the chromatogram here. You may observe that the chromatogram is rather crowded in the middle portion. Thanks to Shimadzu UFMS technology, it can handle more than 600 MRM transitions per second. We can thus achieve very good sensitivity and selectivity for analysis, even though there's a lot of compounds that is required to be analyzed. The Smart Database is also future-proof. In the event that new pesticides are included into the database, the Smart Database can perform MRM transition optimization automatically. This helps to find the best collision energy settings to use. All information are stored in an Excel sheet so that user can edit this conveniently. With the Smart MRM solution, new MRM method can be created automatically with optimized segmented dwell time. The algorithm will balance the requirement of sensitivity with the GCMS UFMS capability. The AART function is really a direct and intuitive method to correct retention time shift should the GC column or method is modified. And with the Smart Database, a complete workflow is readily provided to help kickstart your effort in residual pesticide analysis. In a practical perspective, only 3 steps is required to obtain analytical results. Firstly, analyze an N-alkane mixture to obtain retention index information. By using the AART function, correct existing retention time of the pesticide list. Next up, select the pesticide which you would like to analyze and create an MRM method with the click of a button. This total solution simplifies the effort required to perform residual pesticide analysis on the GCMS equipment. And if you are in the environmental space, persistent organic pollutants or POPs is a global issue. The Stockholm Convention under the United Nations Environmental Programme aims to eliminate the use of these persistent organic pollutants, including organochlorine pesticides, hexachlorobenzene, polychlorinated biphenyls, dioxins, and furans. These chemicals are the most persistent and bioaccumulate in living organisms. In humans, these chemicals are usually endocrine disruptors and can interfere with the body's own hormones. And one of the hottest topics in recent years is dioxins. And let's dive into this. Dioxin, furan, and dioxin-like PCBs are highly toxic and is considered as a human carcinogen. The structure of the compounds usually consists of two chlorinated phenyl groups. Dioxin PCDD, PCDF furan, and dioxin-like PCBs have very similar chemical structure. And due to their lipophilicity persistency, it is very difficult to eliminate them from our body. The 2378 TCDD is considered by WHO, the World Health Organization, to be the most toxic dioxin. Out of 75 PCDD congeners and 135 PCDF congeners, 17 congeners as seen in these two tables are considered toxic. You will see that all 2378 substituted congeners are toxic. WHO has designated a toxic equivalent scheme called the Toxic Equivalent Factor TEF. 2378 TCDD was designated to have a toxic equivalent factor of 1. The TEF value of the remaining dioxins are hence relative to 2378 TCDD. This means that OCDD, which has a TEF value of 0.0003, is likely to be less toxic than 2378 TCDD. For dioxin-like PCBs, there is a total of 12 congeners out of 209 congeners that are toxic. These congeners have similar configurations as the 2378 TCDD. However, in comparison to dioxin and furans, these dioxins-like PCBs have lower TEF values. Initial regulation for the detection of dioxin required very high resolution mass spectrometer. However, in 2014, due to the technical progress and advancement of GC-MS technology, GC-MS can be used as a confirmatory method. In this analysis of an egg sample, MRI mode analysis using GC-MS has enabled the quantitation of dioxins. The concentration found in the sample was processed accordingly based on the toxic equivalent factor values to provide a toxic equivalent quantity for each individual compound. The summation of the TEQ value add up to about 48. So this is way above the 2.5 nanogram per kilogram values permitted by EU regulation. Hence, this sample is considered toxic, or we can label it as a positive sample. While GC-MS was successfully applied for dioxin analysis, Shimadzu further compared the quantitative capabilities of GC-MS and GC-MS. In collaboration with Laberca, the France National Reference Laboratory for Food Residue and Contaminants, 44 types and 201 samples of food and feeds were analyzed. If we were to look at this plot, the x-axis represents the TEQ value of GC-MS analysis, while the y-axis represents the TEQ values obtained using GC-MS analysis for all these different samples. In this plot, positive samples are found in the red zones, while negative samples are found in the green zone. The correlation between GC-MS and GC-MS is very good, particularly in the positive sample zone. This indicates that GC-MS can provide quantitative capability equivalent to that of GC-MS. In the event that trace level detection of dioxins is required, a newly developed boosted efficiency ion source, BEIS, can be used. This new ion source optimizes the focal point of the electron beam to improve both ionization rate and hence the sensitivity of TQ8050NX. A lower instrument detection limit can be achieved with the combination of TQ8050NX and the BEIS ion source. To simplify the workflow, Shimadzu has a dedicated method package specially designed for the detection of dioxin, furan, PCBs, and BFRs. The exact method package was used in the comparison study between GC-MS and HRMS by Laberca in the previous slide. More importantly, as complicated calculation is required for reporting dioxins, the method package is included with a report creation tool that is capable of outputting the items required by the EU regulations. For a more general routine analysis of persistent organic pollutants, the Smart Environmental Database will be very helpful to kickstart your analysis. This database includes most persistent organic pollutants, including polychlorinated biphenyls (PCBs), brominated flame retardants (BFR), dioxins, polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons (PAH), as well as organochlorine pesticides. When it comes to water monitoring science, water analysis is usually performed to ensure minimal presence of volatile organic compounds. There are several EPA methods that is dedicated to these different types of water. In general, the procedure to analyze volatiles in water are provided in EPA method 524, 624, and 8260. On the other hand, methods 525, 625, and 8270 methods analyzes semi-volatile compounds. With the constant evolution of water monitoring methods, Shimadzu has made it a point to keep up with the current requirement. An example of target compounds monitored during water analysis are shown here. Most of them are in fact chlorinated or brominated compounds such as dichloropropene, chlorotoluene, benzene, bromochloromethane, or even styrene and xylene. For the analysis of volatile compounds, the official EPA method recommends a purge and track sample introduction method. At Shimadzu, our GCMS can be coupled to a purge and track system, but on top of that, our headspace system, the HS20, can be used to achieve similar results. The HSpace20 can be operated under a trap or loop mode with very good efficiency. Now in the case of semi-volatile, a direct liquid injection would suffice, and the usage of QP2020NX will be able to meet the regulation requirement of EPA. When the HS20 trap is used, scan mode analysis is sufficed to meet all requirements of the EPA 524. All volatile compounds can be detected with excellent calibration linearity and with RSD of less than 20%. The method detection limit for 74 targets is less than 0.4 ppb, while the recovery is between 60 to 150%. When the HSpace20 is used under loop mode, SIM mode analysis should be used to meet the requirement of EPA method 524. Similarly, all volatile compounds can be detected with excellent calibration linearity and with RSD of less than 7%. The method detection limit for 73 targets is less than 0.4 ppb, while the recovery is between 80 to 120%. For the application of EPA method 8260 and 8270 under the SW846 compendium, two different types of column is required to fulfill the analysis of volatile and semi-volatile compounds. Having this in mind, the Shimadzu twin-line system enables the attachment of two columns in the GC oven, with both connected to the same mass spectrometer. This setup can increase productivity of routine analysis since it minimizes downtime resulting from GC column changing. Although we now understand more about the threats that our surrounding can possibly pose to us, let's not be alarmed just yet. The exposome concept is rather complex and requires a long period of time to understand the interconnectivity between external and specific environmental exposure to our health. While the government is doing their part to ensure that we are not exposed to such chemicals unnecessarily, we should play our part by keeping ourselves healthy with good diet and exercise routine. Moving on, let us explore the discovery workflow, which is usually these two applications, Aroma and Forensics. These two applications can be also a routine analysis, but most of the time, their initial nature of investigations is discovery and open-ended questions. When it comes to discovery work, we are usually presented with different types of samples. The sample could be solid, liquid, gaseous, and may come in different sizes and forms. Lucky for us, GCMS can be equipped with various sample introduction methods. These include liquid injection, headspace, solid phase microextraction, thermal desorption, and monotrope thermal desorption. At the mass spectrometer end, apart from electron ionization, positive and negative chemical ionization can be performed using methane or isobutane reagent gas. An alternate chemical ionization technique that applies safer solvent can be used to achieve positive chemical ionization as well, and this method is called the solvent-mediated chemical ionization, SMCI. Aroma science investigates the volatile aromatic compounds that stimulates our olfactions and senses. Investigation of aromatic compounds can be performed for many reasons. For example, essential oils are analyzed to identify their compositions. Food and beverages are analyzed for identification or quality monitoring, and consumer products are analyzed to ensure safety. Let us take a look at the different types of sampling methods. Liquid injection technique samples the liquid directly. The static headspace technique analyzes volatile chemicals from liquid or solid samples. The headspace trap technique analyzes volatiles as well, but pre-concentrates the volatiles in a polymeric material before introduction into GCMS. Similar trapping concept is applied onto a probe-like accessories, and this kind of technique is called solid phase microextraction, SPME. The polymer material can also be packed into a glass rod and connected to a sampling container. Correspondingly, aromatic compounds will be adsorbed on the polymer material and subsequently dissolved for analysis. Lastly, the polymer trapping material can also be designed into a size of a stir bar. The monotrap is one of such trapping material. The monotrap can be placed in a sampling bag containing samples to absorb aromatic compounds and subsequently dissolved for analysis. With the combination of AOC 6000 autosampler and Optic 4, all these sampling techniques are accessible to users of GCMS. And the Shimadzu off-flavor analyzer includes both the Optic 4 and AOC 6000 to provide a total solution for aroma analysis. An olfactory unit is also included for olfactory analysis. More importantly, an ASSPT database containing 150 major odor-causing substances and associated sensory information is included. The ASSPT database contains the chemical name, retention index, and comments about the odor quality as well as odor threshold. For example, benzophenone has an almond and burnt sugar aroma. The odor concentration threshold provided an idea whether the chemical is responsible for the aroma or not. And all these informations are created by ASSPT. In this example, the concentration of benzophenone is about 2 picogram per milligram, which is way below the odor threshold of 10 picogram per milligram. On the other hand, 2,4,6-tribromophenol has a concentration of 2,000 picogram per milligram, and which is way above the threshold of 100 picogram per milligram. So if these two compounds were to elute at the same time, the tribromophenol will be responsible for the odor detected by the sniffer unit. As such, the off-flavor analysis method package is very useful if you are doing unknown analysis, especially for off-flavor and aromatic compound detection. In certain discovery work, electron ionization may not provide ample information for compound identification. For example, this molecule, talic acid octyl ester, has a molecular weight of 390. Upon electron ionization, fragment ions are observed, but the molecular ion peak at 390 was not visible. Attempts to identify the compounds in a library match is also futile as other talic acids have similar fragmentation pattern, hence providing high similarity score, which is very hard to decide which is the correct sample that I've been analyzing. However, with soft chemical ionization, the mass spectrum provides molecular weight information of the compound. In this case, a peak at 391 corresponding to the N plus H ions of phthalic acid or tau ester is visible. Using this information, the library search result can be further narrowed down to these two compounds with chemical molecular weights of 390. To perform chemical ionization, a reagent gas, usually methane, isobutane, or ammonia, must be provided. In addition, a dedicated Ci ion source must be used. However, changing the ion source for electron ionization to chemical ionization entails the breaking of mass spectrometer vacuum. The smart EICI ion source is a solution that combines both benefits of both ion sources. This means that the smart ion source will be able to perform both EI and CI analysis without needing to break the mass spectrometer vacuum. More importantly, good sensitivity can still be obtained for both modes of analysis, making this the perfect tool for discovery work. Noting that a reagent gas such as methane, isobutane, and ammonia is required to perform chemical ionization, the cost accrued to purchase the gas tank in the long run may be very high, and this is on top of safety issues such as flammable gases. Shimadzu has recently released a solvent-mediated chemical ionization unit, the SMCI. This unit allows the application of chemical ionization by using only HPLC-grade solvents such as methanol and acetonitrile. The unit pressurizes a bottle filled with methanol and directs the methanol vapor into the mass spectrometer to act as a reagent gas. The many benefits of this system is that it does not use any flammable gas tank. It is a cost-efficient method, and it allows further research and development work via mixing of organic solvents as reagent gas vapor. For a comprehensive analysis of aromatic compounds, including flavor and fragrances, the Shimadzu Flavor and Fragrance Natural and Synthetic Compounds Library, the FFNSC library, is recommended. This library contains mass spectral and retention indexes for more than 4,000 compounds. It is curated by Prof. Mondello from the University of Messina in Italy using Shimadzu GCMS instrument. And if you are in forensics, we have a combined forensic solution in a single package. This package consists of three portions. The GCMS Forensic Toxicological Database contains mass spectra for 726 compounds and can be used for identification in discovery works. The Smart Forensic Database contains MRM information to kickstart quantitative analysis for more than 201 drugs. Lastly, we have a quick database solution for semi-quantitative analysis based on MRM. Unlike the Smart Forensic Database, whereby standard samples are required for all target compounds, the quick database has built-in calibration curve information. Analysts will just need to inject a series of internal standards along with the samples to obtain semi-quantitative analysis. This type of solution is suitable for analysis that does not require very precise quantitative results. And alongside this, an on-column TFA derivatization method using autosampler is included to further simplify the workflow. Owing to the UFMS technology, a scan MRM method can be performed for simultaneous qualitative and quantitative analysis. The scan analysis provides mass spectrum for identification via library match. The MRM analysis enables trace level detection and quantitation with available standard compounds. The forensic database package thus provides all the necessary information to support this kind of analysis. In order to evade regulatory detection, new psychoactive drugs are commonly synthesized. For example, the R1, R2, and R3 functionalities on catenols and cannabinoids are modified to avoid detection. Without authentic samples, it can be very challenging to identify these type of designer drugs. Especially for these two designer drugs, the Forensic Toxicological Database provides a detection method based on a combination of MRM and product ion scan. As we have seen the sequence of MRM events earlier, let's take a look at the sequence of product ion scan event. Similar to MRM event, the product ions can select a target ion in quadrupole 1. Upon collision with argon gas in the collision cell, fragment ions are produced. In quadrupole 3, unlike MRM events, all fragment ions are passed through the quadrupole. The product ions of the target ions are detected, and hence the name product ion scan, PIS. Using cathinone as an example, it usually undergoes alpha cleavage at this position upon electron ionization. And using this important piece of information, the forensic toxicological database included a combination of lightly functional groups to screen for by focusing on the amine and benzoyl moiety of cathinones. To accomplish structural estimation, MRM and product ion scans for these fragments are performed in a single method. The key indicator to a positive identification is when the chromatograms of MRM and product ion scan coincides at the same retention time. These are the candidates that are screened with the forensic toxicological database. A combination of 9 patterns at the benzoyl moiety and 10 patterns at the amine moiety could provide a combination of 500 types of structures. And this is a screenshot of how it works in the software. The chromatogram window indicates 3 peaks that coincide at the same retention time, and this is a blown up figure of it. It consists of the MRM result, the product ion scan of the amine moiety, and the product ion scan of the benzoyl moiety. A look at the identification window result shows the type of structures detected using the MRM and product ion scan. The MRM mode has shortlisted the presence of R3 group as fluorine. The product ion scan of amine moiety has shortlisted the R1 group as a methyl group and the R2 group as a hydrogen, while the product ion scan of benzoyl moiety has highlighted the presence of a fluoride in the benzoyl moiety. In this case, the unknown catinones is estimated as this particular structure. In addition, mass spectrum collected from scan analysis can also be subjected to a hybrid search mode with the NIS-MS search program. For example, let's assume that the spectra of methyl phenyl acetate seen here is an unknown compound and that the library contains mass spectrum of phenyl p-toluol acetate. So this unknown compound mass spectrum has been matched to the mass spectrum of methyl p-toluol acetate. By using a hybrid search function, the search will provide a certain delta mass value. In this case, the delta mass is 14. With this information, we can predict that the unknown mass spectrum is very similar to methyl p-toluol acetate, but with a missing group of 14. And this probably corresponds to a methyl group. And as such, this hybrid search method can be used to deduce the numerous analogues and derivatives of designer drugs such as fentanyls, catechinols, and many other candidates. With a breadth of solutions ranging from environmental, food safety, forensics to aroma, we are confident that we will be able to provide the solutions you need. Since there are many more applications which I may not have the opportunity to share with you in this session, I would like to briefly indicate them here. For example, GCMS is also very important in extractable and leachable analysis for both food and pharma applications. Polymer and microplastics are also very hot topics in recent years, and analysis of VOC and sports doping analysis are also very well developed areas of applications. And our GCMS can definitely deliver the best results. In 2020, we celebrated 50 years of innovation of our mass spectrometer technology. At the same time, our GC technology has gone through 60 years of innovation. We are proud to say that we are passionate about our technology and the solutions we can provide to the international society. And joining us today is also our expert product specialist for GCMS, Jackie, as well as Laika and her team. If you have any queries, feel free to ask us. And once again, thank you for joining us and thank you for your time.
Excellence in science. Shimadzu.